not everybody at once.
Just general, I mean, about halfway through, where do you feel you're at defensively as far as where you want it to be?
I think we're getting close. Today was the first red zone day, so we got some of that part of the install done. Most of the base install is in now, just fine tuning things. Getting some young guys a lot of reps. Obviously, the older guys, especially those 6-year guys, have come back and they've had a lot of experience with us, with the system. But it's important to get those young guys some reps. And I think the way that we've got practice structured, those guys are getting a lot of work. And I also want to see some guys with different groups, moving some of the ones around and the twos around, and just seeing how guys work together. But we're getting there. We're about where we should be at this point in spring ball. Yeah, you guys have watched us. We won 3 games last year, so everybody needs reps. But there's guys that need to play with the ones because they're an ankle away from being a one. So that's the challenge. Just getting the guys. Right now I feel like we got the right guys on the bus. Now it's just figuring out what seat they need to get in. So we're changing those groups up. It's been really good to see a lot of young guys get a lot of reps, especially those guys in the back end. Those older guys don't care if they play with the ones or twos. They just love to play football. That's why they came back. So they understand why people are going with different groups. But I think it's just finding that good mesh of who's supposed to be where, and then who's the next guys we can count on if something happens. Yeah, I don't know if not getting the chance to see what they could do, but I mean, there's guys out there like one guy like Feldarius Payne comes to mind, right? He comes in, he has a shoulder deal, so he doesn't get a good strength conditioning session. Then spring ball gets canceled on him. Then the fall camp is moved back. So he was a guy that just needed a great summer and winter conditioning, and he needed a big spring ball. So this will be a great year for him. He's been through the program now. He's healthy. He's been in the weight room. He's got a lot of reps this spring. So guys like that, and there's other ones, at that position. Obviously, Blaze Gunnarsson and some of those guys that were injured, and Jamari Butler. Seeing some of these DBs, the young guys play, and some of the defensive linemen. But there's a lot of guys that just they didn't benefit from no spring ball, no winter conditioning because of injuries and those types of things.
You did a pretty consistent rotation up front on the defensive line by the end of last year to get back. Among the guys sort of behind that group, do you think you can add more to that and be comfortable with the number of players?
Yeah, there's just, it's just going to be how many reps can go around right now, but I feel really good. Coach Tuiotti's done a good job with that group. Obviously, we all know, Ben's out, like Coach said, but he came on really strong at the end of the year. Ty Robinson, Casey Rogers, Damian Daniels are all playing well. Mosai Newsome, there's a ton of guys. DeAndre's playing well this spring. He's back. You got the young guys, Nash and Ruquan, and there's a lot of guys. Colton Feast is a guy, that walked on from Utah, Nebraska, that's done an unbelievable job for us. So that group is getting a lot of depth. Now it's just trying to find the happy medium of how many reps to give out. Once we line up for real, how many do you take away from those starters or those next guys in, and just getting the rotation. But I think when you're playing defensive line, in order to play really good football, you need to be fresh. And so the more guys that we have that we can count on, the better that the ones are going to be, and then the better the twos are going to be.
Where would Jordan Riley be?
Yeah, Jordan Riley's a guy that I didn't mention. He's right there. I mean, he's getting reps to the ones and twos right now. Like I said, that group's just so deep. It's there's a lot of guys to remember their names, but Jordan's doing a really nice job, and he's been playing up with the ones and twos and rotating in with those guys as well. So, as you guys can see, there's just a lot of guys to get a lot of reps to.
Newsom's a guy that maybe is blowing a little bit under the radar in the defensive back group, but he played right away as a freshman and all that. Where have you seen his growth, I guess, over his time here, and how intense is that cornerback competition?
Yeah, that cornerback competition, not that anybody has a job. Nobody's got a job yet, but Cam's play a lot of football. That other job is going to be an interesting one to see. Quentin, he's played reps. He's taken reps in the game. Now he's just got to go up and he's got to take that job. Someone's got to take that job. That job's not going to be given away because of competition. There's been, years past where some jobs have kind of been given away just by, matter of there wasn't a lot there, or you were the oldest guy and there's a bunch of freshmen in the room. That job's not going to be given away. Somebody's going to have to take it. So, you guys got Q, you got Braxton Clark, you got Nadab Joseph. You got a lot of guys all in there fighting for another job.
There's a bunch of guys in that secondary that were hurt all or part of last year. Do you sense sort of a spirit in that group with a bunch of those guys back and helping out this spring?
Yeah, another big piece of that is the guys like Deontay and Markel and Cam just pushing those younger guys. They're not letting those guys slide right now. If they do something wrong or they don't give effort or they don't like what they see, they're letting them know about it. So it's been really good to have those three back there kind of patrolling things for us.
How else have you seen Cam up in particular, up his leadership, his level of play this offseason?
Yeah, well, Cam, he came back because he wants to prove to the world and the Big Ten that, he belongs with the elite corners. And part of that with him was just getting that piece that you're talking about, Mitch. It was just, you have to lead now. If you're going to be one of the best players on the team, you have to be willing to lead. When your best players are also your best leaders, that's when things really start happening. So he's not afraid to use his voice now. He does it in the right way. He starts with the DB room, which is what he should do, and it kind of spreads to the team. The other thing that he brings is he brings a lot of energy. He's like an Energizer Bunny out there. Special teams drills, defensive stuff. He brings a lot of energy to the practice. So when he's out there, everything's better.
Has JoJo, he's been limited this spring, right?
Yep, JoJo's been limited. He's been banged up a little bit, but hopefully we'll get him back full here for the last couple weeks of practice.
You mentioned Nadab Joseph. I know Travis Fisher was kind of excited about how dialed in he was going into the spring. Do you see some of that, I guess, freak athleticism that sort of made him a big-time recruit? And how's he been stacking up?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the things he can do with his body are pretty special. The talent he has is special. The length and the size and the speed he has. For him, it was just getting 100% dialed in on not only football but in school and just his day-to-day life. And he's done a really good job of doing those things. I see him up in the office all the time. He's wanting to watch film. He's wanting to learn. But just getting him to know, how do I align, how do I assign, and then go execute. If he can do that, I think the potential is unlimited. Potential is a scary word, but I think there's a lot of potential there.
Cam hinted he would mind playing some offense maybe. Is that something you would mind, sharing it with Scott Frost a little bit?
Cam?
Yeah.
Cam can definitely, he's talented enough to play offense, especially in the return game. That's kind of an offensive play. But whatever we need to do to help the team, I'm all for. If they need him to come over and carry the ball a couple times or line up at receiver, I'd be all for that. We've done it a lot in the past, Coach and myself together. Sometimes it's D lineman going over there to play fullback and tight end on the goal line package. Sometimes it's a corner going to play, a limited package in offense. But whatever we need to do to help the team, we're all for it.
Hey, open practice on Saturday. What are you guys hoping to show? And keep it a little bit vanilla, knowing that there's going to be 4,000 sets of eyes watching practice.
Yeah, I don't really care who's at practice. I just want to get better. I don't plan on hiding stuff. But with that being said, we're not in the trick 'em phase of football right now. We need to line up and play what we play. Do we pressure a couple times and throw a few things in the mix to keep the offense honest? Absolutely, so do they. But we're not going to sit here and script a different script just because it's open practice.
Do you feel like there's a part of your guys that feed off of that need to have people back in the stadium? Saturday's kind of a preview of 2 weeks from Saturday when they really start coming back in. How important is that for your players to have that energy?
I don't think they need it. If you can't get excited to play football at this level, you probably shouldn't be here. But will it be nice? Absolutely. Shoot, those guys, we all know that playing at Nebraska, one of the the best parts of that is Saturdays, in Memorial Stadium. And, those guys got that taken away from them last year a little bit by no fault of their own or anyone else's. So having some people back to watch them will be nice. That spring game should be really nice for them. Those guys love the fans, and it's not, I don't think they get up for the fans. They just love to play for the fans because they know how supportive the people of Nebraska are and the fans of Nebraska are to them. So they just love playing for the fans. But it'll be really nice for them to have people back in the stands.
The NCAA tomorrow is set to reportedly at least end the dead period on June 1st. It's obviously critical for kids to be able to look at campus, but how important is it for you to be able to actually meet some of these guys, get eyes on them, have them potentially in camps and all of that?
Yeah, I think that's that's going to be big. I mean, there's the big trust factor right now. Obviously, high school coaches trusting us and us trusting high school coaches. It's important to see, is a guy really 6'5", or is he going to walk in here and be 6'1"? But also just trying to find out what that guy's all about, and can you do it over the phone and Zoom to some degree, but I don't know if you'll ever really figure out what somebody's all about until you shake their hand and put your eyes on them and get a chance to talk with them in person. So I think it's really important for us to get guys to campus. Not only that, but the best thing that Nebraska has to offer is the University of Nebraska and the city of Lincoln. So in order for us to get guys here and show them what this place is all about, that's only going to up the ante in recruiting.
Hey, did you have anybody right here that enrolled early that didn't visit before they committed?
That didn't visit and enrolled early. I'm trying to think who's here. Ruquan's here. Ruquan visited. Randolph Kapai visited. Seth Malcolm visited. I don't think we have anyone on defense that didn't visit that's coming early.
You're still kind of waiting to kind of see some of those guys because they can't even come up here until.
Yeah, no, there's a couple guys coming in May, that didn't visit. Like Wyndon Huhuli from Hawaii, he never visited, so we've never really met him in person. I know Coach Tony had, when he was a young guy, but he hasn't been on campus, and so there's some coming, but I don't think there's any early enrollees right now.
I have one more question. Your players seem to appreciate your ability to connect with them, and I think we've all kind of seen with guys coming back, and that there seems to be a bond. There seems to be sort of a thing on defense that's real. How do you try to connect with players from various disparate backgrounds? I mean, they're not all the same. Some are high-level recruits, some aren't. Some from big cities, some come from small towns. Do you have a method or approach that you use to try to connect with individual players?
No, I don't think it matters where you're from or what your background is. My job is obviously we got to play good defense, we got to win football games, but a piece of college coaching that I love is developing kids into men. And obviously it's not all bubblegum and lollipops out there. Sometimes I lose it a little bit and have to get after people, but I think that those kids all understand that I love them. I love them dearly. I love them like they're my own. When you love somebody, sometimes they got to figure out what size shoes I'm wearing, and sometimes they need a hug. Sometimes they got to hear the truth. But I think they all know how much I love them. And I think that once they really understand how much you love them, that there's nothing you can't say to them, within reason, obviously, and they won't respond to. And then I think once they understand that you really do love them, they can come to you and talk to you about things other than football. And really, when they come and talk to me about football, that's okay. But when they come talk to you about things other than football, problems at home, problems with the girl, problems with whatever they may be having, that's when you know you're really connected with somebody. And like I said, I love the University of Nebraska, and I love these kids, and that will never change, and I think that they understand that.
You're comfortable using that word love to them, too. Like, they've mentioned that's a word that you use frequently, not your coach loves.
Well, if you really love somebody, you should tell them. You know what I mean? And those kids need to hear it. Like you said, they all come from different backgrounds, and sometimes maybe nobody's told them that before, or not enough. And that's just not the way I'm built.
Thanks, Jim.
Yep.